What's up, Internet? My name is Michael Cook, this is Blue Giant Media, and we're here to connect through gaming. Today, we're going to take a look at Black Rose Wars. This game is by Marco Montanaro and published by Ludus Magnus Studios. It features you playing as a mage who's competing in a kind of tournament battle to become the new leader of the Black Rose Order. So we're going to look at the game with a quick overview of the rules, get a feel for kind of how it plays, and then we'll come back and I'll let you know what I like, what I don't like, who may like and who may not like Black Rose Wars. Alright, here we have Black Rose Wars set up for 2 players. The big things that you have to pay attention to is the Black Rose room is in the middle, and the throne room is immediately around it. Everything else is randomly assigned around, and then once you put everything in place, you put their activation tokens on there so that you can kind of see what they do, and then you got your Moon Phase 1 event decks and quest decks. Each player then is going to get their character specific card and then choose one of the different schools of magic to use as their starting grimoire, and then choose either the top or bottom set of spells to be their starting deck. So we've done all that. Once you've done that, the beginning of the round is going to start with the Black Rose phase. In the Black Rose phase, you're going to take any events that are here and move them over at least one space, and then you're going to turn over the next one of these. And on here, it's going to tell you how far it moves. So when it's drawn, it's going to go into the first space. So sometimes it'll tell you to put it in the second or the third. If that means that it would go on top of another one, then again, it gets pushed one space over. So when it's also played, the Black Rose is going to get points equal to what is shown here. And then it's going to get points shown here when that event is completed or moved off the board. So this one says all gray runes, which are the ones with the gray activation spaces, are already activated. Flip them over. So we'll go ahead and flip these ones over. They are not going to be available this round. Okay, and the Black Rose is going to get 2 points now, and it'll get 1 point when it moves across. So we'll go over here, and we will move the Black Rose up 2 points. And that's what they're going to get this round. Now, if this had a crown symbol in the middle, or at the top like this, then the first player token would rotate, but that doesn't actually take effect until the beginning of the next round, because before the Black Rose phase starts, that's when the first player is locked in for the round. This basically just determines who it's going to be next round, and it can pass back and forth, and then just whoever holds it at the end of the round will become the first player for the following round. So it'll stay over here for now. The next thing is, if there's any player that has no quests, doesn't have at least one quest, then they get to draw one. So you'll draw one from here, and if you don't like the one that you draw, you can discard it and give the Black Rose 1 point and draw a new one. So you do have a little bit of leeway there. So this one says activate the treasure room, and then it says when you do that, instead of the normal room effect, you get to draw a quest from the current moon. So instead of just taking a point, you're going to get to take another quest card, and then it'll give you 2 points. So here at the bottom you can see it gives you 2 points and tells you what you're going to do and what the reward is going to be. So this one says, instead of doing what the treasure room normally does, which is give you a point, it's going to let you draw another quest card from the quest deck. So that one's pretty good. We're a little bit far away from there though, but we can make it. We could go 1, 2, 1, 2, or 1, 2, 1, 2, because you can move 2. And the other thing is there are some spells that allow us to move as well. So I think we'll probably go ahead and stick with that one. And I realized it's 1 point if you're in the first moon phase, but if you're in the second moon phase, it's 2 points to discard a quest card and draw a new one. Or if you're in the third moon phase, you're going to give the Black Rose 3 points. So it's based off of what moon phase you are in. All right, so now we'll go over here. We're going to draw one, which this one says reveal at least 1 water spell and 1 earth spell. If you do that, then you will get 3 points. That's not too bad. So we'll go ahead and try that one. 3 points is pretty solid. Alright, so that is going to take care of the Black Rose phase. Now we're going to move into the study phase. In the study phase, you are going to draw 2 cards from your grimoire into your hand. So drawing 2 over here, and then drawing 2 over here. And then what you'll get to do is you'll get to draw 4 cards from any combination of spells over here, except for Forgotten. You can't get the Forgotten spells by doing study. So you're going to get to choose 4 cards from either 1, 2, 3, or 4 schools, and then you're going to choose 2 of them to keep, 2 of them to discard. So you're going to draw a total of 4 cards each round. So over here, this player is going to be, they're a necromancer, whereas this player is a diviner. Diviner. So that kind of helps drive a little bit of what you may want to do. So maybe this player wants to draw 2 necromancy, a destruction, and a conspiracy. So this player will look at them, look at the spells, and you can see each spell has a top and a bottom, and you choose which one you're going to use. And in this case, this player drew their character-specific quest. If another mage draws a different mage's character-specific quest or card, then that gets discarded and a new one gets drawn. You can't draw a different mage's character-specific spell. So let's see. Of these, that's a really good spell. So we'll go ahead and take that one. The other thing we can look at is we're trying to get water and earth. Right now we've got a water. We don't have an earth spell, and none of these are earth. So that's a bummer. It means that we're not going to be able to complete our quest this round. With that out of the question, then what else could we do? Remove an evocation, move a target by a room. Mages in the target room can't leave their room. That one can be pretty devastating. Model that attacked you suffers damage for each damage inflicted to you, or earn a point for each damage you just suffered. We'll go ahead and go with that one. So we're going to go full necromancy. So we'll go ahead and put these back. And then over here, why don't we go ahead with 2 of the divination spells, and let's go with transmutation. Alright, so of these, look at events, or look at the quests of the mages in the target room. You can take one of your choice from them. Look at the events, you can play one. If you do, earn 2 points. That could be interesting. Draw a quest from the current moon or the next moon, so you can get a quest from the next moon which is worth more points. That's pretty cool. Stone Claws. You have 3 physical attack and can move 1 then attack. That's pretty cool. But I don't think we're really going to be able to use that this round. During this turn, instead of punching, you can assign instability to your room. That's pretty good too. But I think we want to have more questing ability. And then go for some instability. Alright, so now we have done our study phase. Now we're going to move on to the preparation phase. In the preparation phase, that's when you're actually going to take these and you're going to program them. So when you take them, you can see on here it says active side. So when you place a spell, if you want it to be played this way, you will then flip it that way. So that the active side, the thing that you want to do, is down here. So you go like that, and that's what you're going to end up doing. So I'll go ahead and think about what I'm going to do for these 2, get them set up, and then we'll come right back. Alright, so I have only programmed 3 spells for each of these different mages. You must program 2 spells. They could both be regular spells or a quick spell and an active spell, but you have to program at least 2, but you do not have to program all 4 of your possible spells. So then starting with, oops, this is their extra card. If you want to start, starting with the first player, this player gets to choose to either draw a combination of a couple different actions. You can move You can do one quick spell, one active spell, or one physical action, or just about any combination of two things of those other than two active spells. You can do two physical, one physical and an active, one physical and one physical and a spell, one physical and a quick spell, the quick spell and the regular spell. So you can do a lot of different combinations of those. But starting with this player, they're going to get to choose one of those possible things that they want to do. So this one is more situational, so we don't want to do that one yet. This one is probably worth doing, but we'll go ahead and hold on and do this one for the moment. So we're just going to go ahead, actually, no, I'm mistaken. Because you must leave your dormitory, you must leave your room if you are in it. So we're going to go ahead and spend one physical action, and when you spend these, you can either move or punch. And so you can see here, you get to move 2 or punch 2. So we're going to go ahead and move 2, and let's see, which one of these do I want to use? I think I'm going to think ahead and move to the Alchemic Laboratory, which lets me draw 2 spells from the Grimoire. Alright, so now I'll have 3 for, or at least 3, which means you'll draw 4 more, so I'll have 7 cards at least for the next round. So that's pretty nice. Then we'll go over here, and likewise, this player is going to move 2. They're going to go like this. They say, we're going to see what's going on over there, so maybe we want, yeah, we'll go ahead and activate this. Alright, so now we'll set it, I'm going to mark it and show that it is a defensive spell, and move 2. So we would like to get close, considering what we've got coming up. Yeah, that one needs to be close. So why don't we go 1, 2 to use the forged. Is that really what I want to do though? I think we're actually just going to go 1, 2, and we're going to go it so that we can get as close as possible. And so we'll activate the treasure room, which gives us 1 point. And that makes this player pretty bummed because they needed to activate that treasure room. So that makes things a lot more difficult for them. Alright, so since that happened, they're not going to be able to do their quest anymore. So we're going to go ahead and do this. So during this this round, we can, when we move, or when we attack, it actually is going to do instability. So it says, during this turn, instead of punching, you can assign 2 instability to your room. You can move 1 space and then do that attack. So we get to move 1 and then put 2 instability down. So we could go here. We'll go there, which allows us to summon. So we're going to take one of these. We are going to grab one of our rose pins and place it in, showing that it is the blue players. And then we'll go through the evocation deck here and find the matching card for the Cerberus. So Cerberus. So we'll go ahead and find that, and then we're going to place it, since we put it on the first space, we'll go ahead and put it, I think this is going to be off camera, but I'll just put it here for now to show that this evocation will be able to, when it's activated, move 3, hit for 2, and then it has 2 health, and whenever it hits, it also gets to swap damage. So let's say the Black Rose or another player had done damage, and then when I attack, I get to not only add my damage, but I also get to take 1 away from the opponent and replace it with 1 of mine. That allows you to maintain or get majority for doing the most damage to somebody, which allows you to then get the most points when that player dies. Alright, so then what we can do, we're going to flip this over because we summoned, and we get to assign 2 instability to the room. Alright, so that was our action. We did a spell and a move. Then we're going to come over here. Now, Perfect. But they don't have a point. That's alright. We're going to inflict 3 damage. And if this player had any points, they would lose a point as well. Alright. Boom. And we're not going to bother with any of the others for there. Alright, so then this player... Yeah. We'll go ahead and draw a quest from the next moon phase. This one says, activate the Biblioteca, which, oh, that's such a bummer because we're right next to it, but we've already used all of our movement. When we do that, instead of the normal effect, we get to look at the first 6 cards of a School of Magic and draw one of them. So you can never have more than 2 quests at a time. So right now this player has 2, but if they had drawn an additional one, then if they, for whatever reason, end up drawing an additional one, they'll have to discard. Alright, so then it goes back over here. And this player is going to, again, inflict 3 damage and would take a point away if I had any over here. So, doing a healthy amount of damage. And then we could, see, we can move. Where might we want to go? Oh, you know what? We might as well move over here and take the throne room so that we get to be first player next round. Then this player doesn't have any choice but to do this, which is going to let them summon a divine altar in the target room and earn 1 point. So we'll grab a divine altar, summon that there, and grab a divine altar card. Okay. And we're going to mark it with another one of our rose pins. I'm going to put it in the middle one to show that it's our second evocation. I'll go ahead and put it there. So these have 4 health. They don't do much on their own. I'll give myself the point. But they allow you to do a lot of different things should they stay on the board, or when you do some other spells that kind of interact with them. Alright, so we've done the Black Rose phase, we've done the study phase, we've done the preparation phase, and we've done the action phase. Now we're going to move on to the evocation phase. In the evocation phase, starting with the first player, they get to activate all of their evocations. Then the next player gets to activate all of theirs. So you don't go back and forth, which makes a really big difference for, you know, wanting to be that first player. Alright, so this one doesn't move, so it's just going to do what it's going to do. This Cerbero gets to move 3 and attack for 2, so it'll go 1, 2, and attack for 2. Let's see, I think that this says, yep, so this says for each, earn 1 point for each damage that you just suffered. So we're going to go ahead and suffer that 2 damage, but that's okay, we're going to take 2 points because we took 2 damage. So that's pretty nice. Alright, so now we're going to move on to the cleanup phase. Cleanup phase, we are going to turn these over so that they're ready again. Move everything into the discard, into what they call the memories. Put these over here. We're going to flip all of these tokens back so that everything is able to be activated again. Okay, looks like I got them all. Nope, right there. Okay, and then we would go to the next Black Rose phase. So some other things that are going to happen whenever someone reaches the next moon phase, you immediately swap out the event and the quest decks, and then you will also get to place the activation token for the Black Rose room once you get to the second moon phase. This one allows you to discard 4 cards from your hand to get one of the forgotten spells, which are spells that, you know, they had trusted to the Black Rose, which is kind of like this mystical, otherworldly entity, sort of, that exists but has its own will and all that. It's whatever. But these spells can only be used once. So the Black Rose, if you make an offering of 4 of your spells, then you get to, it will teach you, or give you the ability to cast one of these really powerful spells just once. And these can do things like summon Chrono, and in some of the expansion that lets you summon like the Necro Dragon or Lucifer himself. It has spells that do like 7 damage or all kinds of really, really powerful stuff, but they're one-time uses also. When somebody dies, you total up, or you see who's done the most damage. The person who's done the most damage is going to get 4 points. The person who's done the second most damage will get 2, and the person any other player who's done at least 1 will get 1 point. And the one who kills them is going to get a trophy. So let's say this player kills them, gets a killing blow, then they get the trophy. If you were the only one to damage a player, so you filled up the whole thing all by yourself, you'll just get 5 points outright and the trophy as a reward for being so ridiculously brutal. And you'll continue like this going around until someone reaches 30 points, and then you will score points, or endgame points. And you score endgame points based off of, I didn't really mention, but as you fill one of these up, if a room gets completely filled, it is unstable. That room then is destroyed, and whoever has done the most damage to that room will take the token, and at the end of the game will get the indicated number of points. And then the room is turned over. You can still go through it, but you can no longer activate it or assign it any more instability. So at the end of the game, that's when you're going to score the points for rooms that you have made unstable. And then whoever has the most trophies is going to get points in a similar fashion to doing the most damage. Whoever's done the most quests is going to get points in a similar fashion to doing the most damage. But the numbers for the quests are 6, 3, and 1 instead of 4, 2, and 1. And then you'll also get 1 point if you have the crown at the end of the game. And then whoever has the most points at the end of the game is the winner. Alright, so that should give you a pretty good idea of how to play Black Rose Wars. So now I want to let you know what I do really like about this game. First of all, I love deck building. It's one of my favorite mechanics. So the fact that you can kind of do a little bit of deck building and have some control over each round, what you're going to be able to add to your hand, I think it's a blast. Instead of just adding directly to your deck by putting things in your discard pile, each round you get to draw 2 and then choose 4 different, could be from all different schools, cards to add to your pool and choose 2 of those to keep. I love just the fun of choosing which cards to keep and then just adding these different cards to your deck. I love that. It's one of the best things about this game. Along with the programming. I love Space Alert. It's one of my best games. So this game combines the programming along with the deck building, and that just, I love it. It's great. It can be difficult, but I think that the use of the quick spell and the ability to interject your physical actions makes a really big difference, because you can get pretty well screwed by getting attacked at just the wrong time in this game. But if you are very careful about when you program different spells, so you have to be aware of how much health you have. So maybe this spell, you want to put it further in the round, because if you die, you don't want to be in a position where you can't use it. So then you can interject some of these other physical actions or other spells until things are in the right position. Or put it as a quick spell so that it's in your back pocket until the right situation arises. And then there's the schools of magic. I can't wait for the stretch goals for all of this, because right now I have seven different schools of magic that I can choose from. But I want to say there's going to be like 20, or it's a lot from the stretch goals combined with what there is here. So there's going to be a lot of variability in setup, and then you can kind of look and see, okay, I don't really have anything that lets me draw cards, so I'm going to go for this school this round. I'm going to draw 4 cards from there to try and make sure I got something that lets me draw more cards, or I really want something that does this or that or the other. You can look at what the schools offer and try and be deliberate about playing the odds and trying to see what you're going to get, and I think that's really cool too, and adds a ton of variability. There's also going to be a whole mess more heroes, mages, and different evocations that can come into play, and that's really cool. I think the evocations are more important than the mages, because the mages aren't super different, and well, I'll get to that in just a minute. Replayability already is really high in just what I have here. Right now I've got the 5 to 6 player expansion and the Chrono expansion, and there's a bunch of replayability just in the base box. And I think that's really, really great. I love games with a lot of replayability. But with the stretch goals involved too, and then with Inferno coming, there's, like most deck building games, but this takes it just even further, just with all the different evocations and all that, and the different schools of Magic. It's got like infinite replayability. And there's more rooms that are going to be able to be mixed in. It's just, and then the legendary scenarios that are coming, that change the rules a little bit, or give you different goals. Okay, so you can tell that I really like it. So let's move on to the things that I don't like. I touched on it a little bit there before I, got off of it, and that's that the heroes just don't really play that different. I do like that they have their own individual spell, and most of those are pretty powerful for that school. So I do really like that. It does give them a little bit of a different flavor, but I'm looking forward to one of the legendary scenarios has a module that allows you to kind of get a unique ability that will be randomly dealt out to your mage. And I think that that's a lot of fun. It still makes it so having those like 17 different mages that you get to choose from doesn't have a really big difference. So far, the real big difference is just what starting spell they have and what their health is. There's not any so far that I've seen, although there's a lot of them coming, that can maybe walk further or punch harder or different things like that. So there's difference in maximum hand size, but right now it's a fairly negligible difference other than their unique spell, which isn't as universally impactful. The other thing is the rulebook. The rulebook is a mess. It's filled with typos, grammatical inconsistencies, clear editing oversights. Like there's a spot where it says something to the effect of, "I would word this way." You can tell that it was written in I believe Italian initially, and they sent it to translators. You can see that the translators must have made notes to themselves, like or to the person who they were sending it to, saying, "I would word it this way," and then they put the translation. But they forgot to delete, once they did the proofreading, they forgot to delete the part that says, "I would word it this way." It's back and forth. It needs a better index or something along those lines, so you can really find those different keywords, what they mean, or it needs cards that will kind of give an overview of a round or different things like that. It's just, right now it's a little bit difficult to learn. So I think that makes a barrier to entry for this game that is really unfortunate, because at its heart it's really not that complicated of a game, but that rulebook makes it difficult to learn, and it makes it seem like it's so much more than it is. If I teach this game, people can learn it very quickly, but if you're trying to read that rulebook, it's frustrating. And then going back trying to reference stuff is frustrating, because you can't find it that easily. You pretty much have to just randomly flip through or just try and remember where things are in the rulebook, and that's, like I said, it's unfortunate. Last thing that I don't like, it's a bit cumbersome to set up. And part of that is, like, I understand that they wanted to be able to have the little tokens that you flip over when you activate a room, and then claim when you make a room go unstable, but it's fiddly setting that up. Like, I love the random setup. You move the hexes around, and later there's going to be different hexes that you can choose to mix in for the different rooms. I think that's great, but it makes it so you deal all those out, and then you're grabbing all these things going, all right, where's this one? Okay, it's over there. Where's the sacrificial altar? Okay, it's there. Where's the cemetery? And that makes it fiddly. Going through the decks of cards, there's a lot of expansion modules that it says, okay, this should only be used when you're playing with this legendary scenario. I just go ahead and leave all that stuff in, and if I turn one over that pertains to that, I set it aside and draw another one. That does mean that when I play with people who aren't as familiar with the game, they might not know when they draw something that it doesn't apply, though. So I kind of just push the fiddliness of going through the events and the quests aside, but that can cause problems sometimes as well. So that's most of it, really, though. So who's gonna like this game? If you like an interactive experience, that's what this is at its core.
But the nice thing is, it's not really that... Well, no, there's some pretty good take that moments where you can take points, you can take different things. But for some reason, that doesn't bother me that much. This is probably one of the more combative, confrontational games that I own, and possibly the most confrontational and combative game that I really like. I mean, I like Scythe, but at that game's heart, it's not really a war game. You know, people have described it, and I think it fits better to call it a Cold War game. This is an arena tournament battle. You are blowing each other up. You are stabbing each other in the back. You are stealing points. You are trying to swap things around so that the other people don't get the rewards. It's a lot of fun. But if you like that kind of game, this is going to really apply to you. Also, if you like an epic experience that you can really dig into, then I think you're going to enjoy this as well, because it can play pretty fast, but it's still an epic experience. People who will not like this game are people who don't like downtime, and I don't necessarily mean downtime. It's in between when you're doing the prep portion, where you're choosing which spells to draw and then choosing which ones to keep and which ones to program. That part can take a while when you're trying to make these decisions, because you're trying to plan ahead for what might happen, but at the same time you have to make sure you plan in contingencies for what if some of this goes wrong, or I die, or the thing that I really want to do doesn't pan out because someone else does whatever to take it. So you have to plan for these contingencies, and that can mean that everybody's sitting there for 5 or more minutes trying to decide what they're going to do until they finally say, yeah, we're ready. Now, if everybody's actively engaged at that time, trying to make their own decisions, it's great, but if one person takes a really long time, then there's even more downtime. So there's that to consider. And also, if you don't like being messed with, and you don't like your program that you've established being screwed up, you're going to get frustrated at times of this game. If someone goes to the arena and forces you to play one of your spells out of order, or not when you intend to, that's going to mess you up sometimes. Sometimes it's going to make it completely negate a really good move. Sometimes it's just really going to negate your entire strategy for the round. So that's something to watch out for. You have to have a little bit of either be ready to be flexible or not be upset, Galaxy Trucker style, when things just fall apart. You have to be okay with that. I guess the last part is there can be a little bit of, I don't want to say luck per se, but luck of the draw maybe in what you draw. Sometimes there's spells that are just, there's some in there that I feel like are just better within any given school, and because you get to draw, and you can choose to draw 4 from one specific deck to try and get something good, and sometimes there's spells or rewards that let you go through a deck and choose which exact one you want to draw. I think that can sometimes make things a little streaky, but overall I think that it's pretty well balanced. But some people might notice that disparity, although I think it's more often situational than just flat out this card is just better. But that does happen from what I can tell too. So there may be situations, and who knows, that in Dominion there's times when there's a card you're like, well, that's stupid, but you see it in another setup and you're like, oh, but with that it's really good. So maybe with the different schools of Magic as they come in, I might see that this spell that I think is meh, when it's combined with some other school, it's like, okay, now this combos well. So maybe I'm just overlooking some of those types of things because I haven't played the game that much yet. Thank you so much for listening to my thoughts on Black Rose Wars. If you want to know more about the game, take a look in the description section, and you'll find there a link to unboxing of the base set and all the different expansions as they come out, and you'll also find a link to my setup and playthrough, so you can get an even more in-depth experience of what it's like to play. And then you can also take a look out for links to macronovagames.com, where you can buy hundreds of great games. Please let me know in the comment section below if I missed any rules, because the rule book is not well written and I very well could have missed some. So please do let me know. Until next time, I want to thank you so much for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe if you like what you see, and have a wonderful day.